I have more questions, but unfortunately, I see that the meeting timer is down to its last 90 seconds. So if you're all good with it, I'm going to stop recording here, and then I'm going to suggest we all leave the meeting, or I'll end the meeting for everybody, but then we'll all rejoin, and we'll see if that'll give us another 40 minutes to keep talking. If that works?
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Scouting Stuff. You've got three of us this evening, actually. And once again, Scouter Colin is absent. I really need to get back in touch with him. It's been a little while since we've spoken. Busy lives. But I'm joined this evening by, by a couple of people from France. So why don't you both take a moment to introduce yourselves?
Flo, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Florian. I'm a member of the team CyclOdyssée. We are a team of three scout leaders from France, and we had this crazy idea to go to the last World Scout Jamboree, which took place in Korea by bicycle. So we started on the month of January to be on time in August in Korea.
Brilliant. And then everybody here is...
And my name is Antonin, so I'm also one of the teammates of the CyclOdyssée. And before going to Korea, I was an engineering student. I am currently now an engineering student.
Brilliant. I went through the engineering program many, many years ago. So,
okay.
If you don't mind my asking, which discipline?
So I'm mechanical engineering, and it's in transportation engineering mostly.
Brilliant. So much math and mechanical engineering. It's not even funny.
Okay.
Okay. So you've mentioned it a couple of times already, but CyclOdyssée, which was, I mean, my French is not the best, but I'm catching the word cycle as in bicycle and odyssey as in a grand journey. And I did mention this once on the podcast before, and I think Florian reached out to me in regard to this, because in the run-up to the World Jamboree, I had tripped over a mention of your bicycle journey from France to Korea to attend WJ 2023, WS 2023, the full acronym in there. And so it was really, really cool, actually, that, somehow that reached your ears and y'all reached out to touch base and actually, talk a little bit more about it. Because that's really, really, that is an insane journey. I thought I did insane bicycle journeys back when I was in my 20s. Wow. France to Korea, that's a whole nother level. So maybe let's start at the very beginning. What was the inception for this idea? How did it come about?
So I launched the idea of going to the World Scout Jamboree by bicycle 1 year and a half ago because I traveled during 1 year by bicycle. It was some years ago. I wanted to do that, and after my first job, when I had some money saved, I took a sabbatical year, and I traveled during 1 year by bicycle in Europe and Asia, but south of Asia. And when I learned that the World Scout Jamboree was in Korea this year, I was thinking that it could be a really good opportunity to go back on the road for several reasons, because it's an opportunity to show it's possible to go by ecological and sporty way to such an event, and to share this with a lot of people and young people from the Scout movement. And also because from our home to Korea, the road is by very interesting countries, by the Silk Road, by the steppes, by really wide countries, and so it was a good adventure we wanted to try to do this. And so I asked to Anton, which was somebody from my scout group.
Brilliant.
And you can maybe tell the next step.
Yeah. So when he came to you, Anto, to ask, hey, would you like to ride from France to Korea?
Actually, he came to me saying, would you like to go to the next Jamboree with me? And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a great idea. And he told me, no, you're thinking that if I'm asking you, it's not going by plane like everyone, but would you go to the next World School Jamboree by bicycle? And I was like, hell yeah, I want to go by bicycle. It would be a very such an adventure. And I was like very pleased to go there. And then we discussed it a lot, so Flo and me, and we thought that we may need to be 3 or 4 to go to the Jamboree by bicycle, because it is such an adventure. And we wanted also to record some videos and and take some photos on the way and publish something about scouting in the world, and also about just a biking adventure and cycling adventure. So we decided that, being 3 or 4 would be great. So that's how we decided to post an ad on the social medias. And a friend of us applied actually, and we said, okay, let's go by 3. So he could not make it tonight with us, but his name is Pierre, and during the CyclOdyssée we were three of us actually: Florian, me, and Pierre.
Wow. So I guess the next question is, how do you prepare for something like that? Because you're literally talking about riding your bicycles across an entire continent.
So in terms of physical preparation, there is no need to do any. Actually, I'm not a really good cycler myself. When I started the journey, I think my bicycle had something like 10 kilometers on the dashboard, not more. Wow. You just need to go small step by small steps, and then take bigger, and that way it works. But I would lie to you if I say that we are not sporty guys, because I like to run, and Flo and Pierre went to work every day by bicycle also. So we like to do some sports, but we were not like great cyclers or something like that. So in terms of physical preparation, there is not really something to do. But Flo can talk about maybe the passport thing and visa thing, because this is such a preparation.
Yeah, the logistics side.
Yeah, it was my part. So we were organized, I think, more or less like every team, every patrol in the scout movement. So each people have some task, some role. And I was in charge of planification for finding a way to go from Europe, from France to South Korea. And the world can be complicated today. Sometimes, yes, you have some country closed or with difficulties to find a way to enter. So I spent a lot of time before the departure to search information, and I was searching also a lot of contacts along the road, especially in Europe, because in Europe we were hosted by a lot of scout group. We were really helped by a lot of scout units, scout group. It was winter, so it was pretty good. I think winter in Europe is maybe less cold than in Canada, but sometimes we had some really cold weather and with some snow. So it was good to be hosted every night by a scout group, and we were really happy to share with every scout group, so for the preparation it was a big work to find the group, because you have to find how to write a search in Romanian, in Bulgarian, for example, in Serbian. So you have to learn how to say scout in the language. Then you add the city and you write this on Google, on Instagram, and you find a contact, and the contact give you another contact. And by this way, we made a long list of friends who were able to host us. So it was it was my part, and it was a big part for the preparation, and also I think the equipment. Anton was also in charge, and you can maybe say something about it.
To cross the world by bicycle, you need some equipment. So you can decide to go in a hotel every night and to go in restaurants to eat. But we decided to do it ourselves. So we needed a small stove, and we chose a benzene one actually. You put some just like the same thing that you put in your car, but in a small bottle. Then you put pressure in it, and you are able to cook with some small pans. Also, we had our tent, also our own tent, because when we were in desert and in steppes, we needed to have a place to sleep. And also the big thing was finding good bicycles to do such projects. So yeah, we chose some touring bicycles, which were very good actually. We didn't thought about it, but yeah, it was some good from the brand Riverside. And on each bike, we had all of us 5 luggages, 2 on the front and 3 at the back, and
Wow.
and some bottle of waters. And yeah, that was the most of the equipment we needed to go on such roads.
Wow, that is. I've done the saddlebags thing before, and then with the backpack as well. Back when I was in like Ventures and Rogas, we did a couple of like cycling trips and whatever else. But yeah, that's pretty intense. It's a lot of luggage to carry from place to place. But I mean, that's what you need to go halfway across the world, I guess. So, what was the actual like route you wound up taking and the total distance involved?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question, as there was a bit of noise.
Just like what was the actual route you wound up taking? Like what, which countries did you go through, and which countries were you specifically trying to avoid, if any? And what was the total distance in kilometers, if you were even keeping track?
So the total distance is 15,000 kilometers, 606 in total. Yeah, it was
Wow.
15,606. Yeah.
Maybe we should.
And so, sorry.
Maybe we should convert in mile.
No. I'm Canadian. I speak kilometers. It's fine.
Okay.
So in terms of routes, so we started in France, nearby Paris, actually, in Moisson, because this small town hosted the only World Scout Jamboree that took place in France in 1949. And then we went east through Germany, Austria, a bit of Slovakia, Hungary, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria. And when we arrived there, we were nearby the Black Sea. And we, for political reason and timing reason also, we decided to take a boat on the Black Sea. So we arrived in Georgia, in the Caucasus. We went through the Georgia and then Azerbaijan. And then we took another boat on the Caspian Sea. And then we arrived in Central Asia. In Central Asia, we crossed a bit of Kazakhstan to arrive in Uzbekistan. Then Kyrgyzstan. We came back to Kazakhstan again to go north, just to cross a bit of Russia, and then from Russia we reached Mongolia, and from Mongolia we crossed all Mongolia from west to east to arrive in Ulaanbaatar. Then a bit southeast we arrived in China, and from China we managed to be at the nearest point of South Korea to take a 30-minute plane to arrive in Korea, because of the North and South Korea thing.
Yeah.
We could not arrive in Korea by bicycle, so we had to take a small plane just between these 2 points.
Wow, that is still an impressive route. A little bit of a southward bends around most of Russia there, and then laterally across Mongolia. That must have been quite the... I mean, you mentioned already, like just some of the wild and varied terrain types that you saw, and I'm sure like there are so many... I imagine you probably took like just hundreds of amazing photos along that was, so many different biomes, so many different geographical features. That must have just been astounding to see it out. And like, how was it? Was there any part of the trip that was like, particularly fraught or challenging, or just like, oh, this might not be the safest, or was it all pretty smooth sailing and everybody was really great about it?
No, during 7 months, yes, we had some obstacles, some things we had to deal with, and so the things who could stop the adventure or made the adventure the challenge not complete could have been the geopolitical issues. We had 2 main things to solve. The first one was to cross the Caucasus. So Caucasus It's the part in south of Russia, between Russia, Turkey, and Iran. And so we entered Georgia, and after we wanted to. The only way was to go through Azerbaijan and then to cross the Caspian Sea. But to enter in Azerbaijan, there was some issues. The land border were all closed, and right now they are all closed now. Yes, because of geopolitical reasons, they don't want to have land border opened for passenger for people with Russia, with Iran, of course, with Armenia, and with Georgia because it's with everybody. They have really good relation between the two countries, but not possible to enter from Georgia to Azerbaijan by land. So we tried with the president of the Scouts of Azerbaijan, Ilyas, who tried to help us. But to have the special authorization, it was too complicated. Too complicated. He had to have a signature on the authorization for high-level member of the government.
Oh, wow.
So after time, we said no, we will find another way. So we took a small plane for 40 minutes from Tbilisi to Baku. I think 400 kilometers, something like this, to arrive in Azerbaijan. But as we were really stubborn and as we wanted the challenge was completed, we put the bicycle on a bus, on an autobus, and we came back to the land border. The land border we could not cross by land before. We were at the other side, and we started from this part to cross all the country, all Azerbaijan by bicycle, to have the challenge complete. And the second big challenge, big issue was to find a way to go from Kazakhstan to Mongolia. So I think maybe it's a part of the world that the listener, the scouts who will listen the podcast never see or never watch on the map. But if you look at this part of the world, you will see that there is 4 countries which are close together: Kazakhstan, Russia, China, and Mongolia. But Kazakhstan and Mongolia don't have a common border. There is a part of 70, 80 kilometers where there is Russia and China which have a common border. So to go from Kazakhstan to Mongolia, you have to go through China or through Russia. And it was not so easy. When we started in January, the borders of China were closed because it was a zero COVID policy, but the borders opened in the end of February, I think. But in this part of the world, in the Central Asia, in the consulate, Chinese consulate in Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan, it was not possible to have a visa for Westerners, for European people, and for French people. We don't know exactly why, but we think that if you have a visa in Kazakhstan, you will enter from Kazakhstan to China, and the police in China or the government in China, they don't want people, especially a bike tour, who are really autonomous, really independent, enter in this part of China. They prefer not have this. So the only solution was to find a way to go by Russia. And it was not so easy also because with the war between Ukraine and Russia, it was not easy to have a visa. We were really far from this from the place where the war is.
It was not embassies or anything like that.
Yeah, we were not in danger. We were, I think, 5,000 kilometers from this part. But to have a visa, it was really difficult. So the Russian consulate told us that it was not possible to have a tourism visa, but they agree they agreed to give us transit visa. So it was a visa just for 3 days, and we could go to the north of Kazakhstan, put the bicycle on the train and then on the bus, and arrive in Mongolia. So it was a really big challenge because we wanted to go by land, really, as the most we could. And if we would not have a way in this part of the world, we would need to take a plane from Astana, for example, and to go to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. So it would be 3,000 kilometers. So the challenge would really not have been complete. So we were really, really happy. And when we arrived in Mongolia, we were thinking, yes, we start to see Korea. We will be on time and by land to Korea.
Awesome. So I guess then the next big question is, or I guess the question that just like occurred to me was, I guess those are some of the challenges you faced. You mentioned that, where possible, you were like billeting with scout groups, which is, it's an excellent way to travel if you can do it. I imagine, though, that, for a lot of those stretches, it's not like there's, some scout group out there on the steps, as you're like transiting from, say, Kazakhstan to Mongolia by way of that little stretch of road in Russia. So, what was the plan there? Like, I'm assuming you must have had like some kind of really small backpacking tent or something tucked away in some of the luggage you had. But what'd you do?
So I didn't get if the question was more about the scouts we could meet or could not meet on this kind of path, or about the equipment and the way of camping in this.
Yeah, like what did you? I mean, when you were able to billet with other scout groups, obviously, you would have done that, right? If somebody had a room to put you up in for the night, great. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what did you do when you didn't have somebody to stay with?
Oh, okay. So once a week we were sleeping in hotels, because sometimes you need to shower.
Yeah.
And it's a thing. But most of the time, actually, we were sleeping either in our tents, or when we were in Uzbekistan and sometime in Kyrgyzstan also, we were able to be hosted by some locals, which we were meeting like on the way and like talking with them. And sometimes they just like open their door, and it's like, I think it's something of the Muslim hospitality, which is very great. They treat the stranger as a gift from God. So they are very they have a huge hospitality. So we were always like giving food, and we were like having some mattresses. So it was very luxury for us. It was the best night we could have, I think. And when we were in desertic parts, we were sleeping in our tents. When we were trying to when we were in desert, we didn't have much choice. Like, you just put your tent on the side of the road and that's all. But when we were like in Mongolia, or I was thinking also of Kyrgyzstan, we always tried to put our tent nearby a river or a small fall, waterfall, or things like that, just to get some fresh water to cook and to drink. And so we had a water filter with us, which were like, we just put it on the handlebar of the bicycle, and that was okay. So yeah, that's how we managed. And yeah, these kind of nights were very cool because sometimes we were watching the stars, or we were just like discussing with each other, and this was like some great moments. But meeting people was very, very the best night we could have, because there was that was very rare. So except in Uzbekistan, which were like, I think in Uzbekistan we met people like every day because they are so friendly. That was very amazing. But when we were in Mongolia or in Kazakhstan, most of the night we were just by our own, and that was okay.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you kind of started to answer my next question, because, like some of the better, like what are some of the better memories? And we've talked about the challenges, but like obviously there must have been some great memories along the way there. I alluded to a few of them. So I guess the other question I have is, like resupply. I mean, obviously, if you're camping out and cooking out, you're not going to get. How long did this take? Like 15,000 kilometers. Like how many months were you on the road for?
7 months.
So it's 7 months or 220 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's insane. That is just a long time on the road. And so obviously then, I'm assuming you were just kind of resupplying wherever you had the opportunity to, right? Just,
Yeah, the longest part without like any shops or any supply of food, I think it was something like 3 or 4 days maximum. But most of the time, because we were doing 100 kilometers in a day, so like in 100 kilometers, you can cross a shop or like see a shop or going in a small city or small village. So that was never an issue because we always prepared ourselves. So like every night we were seeing, okay, so which way will we take tomorrow, and in which village we will like go through just to have a shop or to have some small thing to buy. So yeah, it was not an issue. I think we just needed some water supply in Mongolia sometimes, and so we were just like when we have a lack of water, we just like step aside on the road and just ask for to trucks to have some water, and trucks always gives us some water, so that was okay.
wow.
But
Nice.
yeah,
it was cool. Like that's, I mean, just the sheer amount of planning that had to have gone into this. And like you say, reviewing every night, okay, this is where we're going to go next. This is where we're going to go next. And
yeah.
This is the year.
It's constant preparation, actually, because when you prepare the itinerary, the route you are going through, sometimes I think it was like every 2 weeks, we just like stop for 1 day and we were like looking on the map. Okay, so we will go through this town, this town, this town for the next 15 days. And then so we were like looking about the elevation, about the distance, also the distances, and so we were like just estimating it, and then we were planning, but on the road we were replanning again, depending on how we were like tired, and depending on the supplies, also on the shops and on everything, on sometimes just on some historical sites we wanted to see, or some things we wanted to do. So yeah, it's just like, replanning all the time and all day long just for the next days.
Absolutely. So one question I did have about just the logistics of it and the planning, especially like, planning day to day. I mean, I'm assuming you probably had, mobile devices of some kind, but I'm imagining you must have, done the extra bit of preparation and made sure that you had paper maps or like physical maps of as much of the route as you possibly could, because I imagine through a lot of that countryside, there's not exactly the best connectivity, if any, connectivity for most of it. So it's not like you can just hit Google Maps and be just like, okay, what's the next 100 kilometers here?
Yeah, so actually in a lot of countries, I think in Kazakhstan or Mongolia, so the data in Google Maps are not so accurate. So we and for Google Maps, you need to have data on your mobile too. You need 4G or 5G or something like this. And we were in some area with no network, and we didn't buy a SIM card from the country in every country.
Right.
Sometimes we did, but most of the time we didn't. So the best was to have some offline app, so that app you can download the data when you have a Wi-Fi network, for example, and you still have your data with you, so you can use offline. We used Maps.me, which is a really good app with the data of OpenStreetMap project.
Nice.
And so by this way we were able to have the name of the city, the roads, the main roads, and some information about the shops and the restaurant or the supply point. It was not completely precise or accurate. Sometimes there was mistake, but most of the time it was good. And by this way, it was okay. And Google Maps is really universal in Americas and Europe, in a lot of parts of the world. But in Central Asia, you have also other app. I don't remember the name, but and especially in China, you have completely different app. So you have to adapt. But even in Korea they use an app which is named Kakao, for example. And so you have to adapt and to use the if you use the app of the country, most of the time it's more precise than Google Maps.
That was my experience in Switzerland, definitely trying to get around on transit. Google had absolutely no idea how the trains are on there.
Yeah.
But cool. Okay. So and I mean, yeah, like and that goes back to, the idea of being prepared. Is just,
Yeah.
you can't ever trust that the data, even if you do have a SIM card, even if you do have a signal, you can't ever trust that the data is going to be there. Heck, you can't even do that here in Canada sometimes, right? So yeah, what do you do? Well, paper maps or something physical at any rate, right? Or offline cache, or you have a few different options, I guess, which is good. So I know Antonin had talked a little bit about like some of the real highlights of the trip, but like if there's anything that didn't get mentioned there, like what were some of the other best parts? Apart from like, meeting people and then ultimately getting to the Jamboree.
Maybe Flo, you can talk about Kyrgyzstan, and I will talk about Georgia after that.
Yes, and we can speak also about our arrival in the Jamboree, and that we want to make some scout unit takeover. So the next step will be, for example, for the next World Scout Jamboree, that some scout units live their own adventure, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, Kyrgyzstan.
We had some adventures during this trip, and one of the most I think challenging adventure, maybe a little bit dangerous, was in Kyrgyzstan, because we were in Kyrgyzstan, which is a really mountainous country, and we were in the middle of spring in the month of April in this part of the world. So it was not summer, so it was still half frozen. We had sometimes a lot of snow in the high passes, and we wanted to explore a part which is around a big lake, which is named Sonkul. It's a lake at 3,000 meters of altitude above the sea. So it's a really, really high lake, and it's surrounded by high mountains. And near the lake, there is a big grassland. So during summer, there are a lot of nomads with their horses, cattle, sheep, etc., etc. But at this time, we were a little bit too soon. So there was nobody, and when we arrived in the plateau with the lake and the big grassland, and far away a lot of higher mountains, there was a lot of snow, and the lake was half frozen, and there was really nobody. Wow. So because of the snow was half melting. So for the bicycle, we felt we fell on the snow. We had some trouble to go forward because the bicycle were too heavy. So we used more time that we expected. So we didn't have enough food. So yes, it was sometimes a big trouble. We were lucky because it was really good weather, sunny. So it was really cold. I think in the night it was minus 15 Celsius degree, but it was sunny, so it was good. And in some yurt, there was 2 yurts along the lake. During the there is hundreds of thousands of yurts, but there was just 2 yurts at this time along the lake with the at the yurt, we could find some pasta and rice. So we could have some supply, and we could go forward and leave this plateau. We without trouble. So it was really challenging at this time. It was, yes, a little bit hard, but to be alone in this part of the world and with the sunny weather and the lake half frozen, the high mountains with the snow, it was really unforgettable. So it was really a great experience.
Nice. And then Antonin, you mentioned, was it Uzbekistan?
No, it was Georgia. I wanted to talk about Georgia because, as Flo said, in Kyrgyzstan it was very cool because we were alone and it was wild nature and it was a lot of wild horses and some like cold lakes, and yeah, it was us in the nature. But in Georgia it was the opposite because we were with a lot of people and seeing some cities. And it was one of the country we liked the most, I think, because and thanks to its food, because Georgian food is amazing. Georgian gastronomy is amazing, and we ate like some dozens of different things, and it was it was quite funny for us because it is the same ingredients you can find in like the Western European gastronomy, but just cooked differently. And so it was kind of a first cultural shock to discover this and to discover Georgia. And yeah, but it was just two different types of cultural shock. The first one in Georgia with food and with different way of living and different culture, and the other in Kyrgyzstan when we were like alone in the nature, in the wild nature.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of mentioned too, just like the nerve-wracking, and I guess too, like, just, you talk about like, losing more time than you expected, right? Like that gets back to that, budgeting your time, budgeting your food, because obviously, you bought for what you thought you needed, hopefully a little extra, but then, oh geez, suddenly we ate up way more time. I mean, being Canadian, I can totally understand the difficulties of biking on snow. I used to do it, half a lifetime ago. I would ride my bike any time of year whatsoever. But it is a very different challenge to ride your bike in winter conditions, especially wet and slippery winter conditions versus anything drier.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I guess, I'm running out of battery and we're using up a lot of Zoom time. So that's, I guess, like the last thing maybe is just the actual Jamboree. So you've come all this way and you've had all these amazing experiences and you're at the Jamboree. And that was a bit of a thing, wasn't it? Because as I understand it, I didn't go to WSJ. I was at the Kandersteg, but we were following the news about WJ from Kandersteg.
It was kind of a thing. So for us, it was kind of a thing because it was the arrival point. So we arrived on the 3rd of January, which was the second day of the Jamboree. And for us, it was amazing to arrive, and there was a lot of people cheering us. I think just on the arrival, it was maybe 200 or 300 people just waiting for us and waving at us when we arrived. So we were so happy, and we took a lot of photos, and then we did some conferences and some interviews. So that was very cool. And then we took part of the Jamboree, and we met Bear Grylls, the
really?
the
man himself.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think we spent something like 15 minutes with him, just discussing like adventurous to adventurous. So that was cool. And it was a great moment. And then there was the opening ceremony, and for us everything went well, but also because after 7 months in the wild nature and seeing some other cultures, we were like kind of used to it. But we could understand that a lot of young people like could not be. I would say with precaution, I would say open-minded to other culture also sometimes. And I can maybe mention that some kids were not used to be in such weather, which was quite hot and also quite humid. A lot of humidity. So it was. For them it was quite hard, and that's why there is a lot of noise about it, but for us it was okay, and like all the kids we saw on the Jamboree were smiling and were happy to be there, And when some kids had to leave the jamboree, they were all crying to leave because they had a lot of friends there. So yeah, it was very sad. This part was very sad. And then the storm arrived, and I think that's what you mentioned when you talk about what happened in the WSJ. The big storm that arrived was quite of a thing because so we took part of the ISTs to help to like evacuate the whole camp, and it was 900 buses, 40,000 people to evacuate from Saimangam to Seoul, and yeah, that was quite hard. It was a big thing. We were even helped by the army. The army came to help us.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So yeah, it was. Yeah, it was quite thing, but everything went well. I think thanks to scouting, and because every kid knows that they just have to listen to their leaders, and everything will go well. So yeah, everything was okay, and no one was really hurt. I think I never heard of like some big cases. So yeah, we were very lucky about it, but I think we
I don't know if that's his connection or my connection.
I think it's his connection.
Okay.
Is my connection bad? Maybe.
Yes, the last sentence we didn't hear.
Oh, sorry. So I was saying I think it was some luck, but also just scouting.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, BP's, when he talked about be prepared and he was asked what it meant, right? What did he say? Oh, well, for any old thing. Including, I guess, being in the path of a hurricane or tropical storm or whatever that was. Typhoon.
Typhoon.
Yeah.
This part of the world is typhoon.
Yeah. Same weather phenomenon, more or less, different name. So, yeah, and I mean, my heart did go out to all of the people who were struggling through that. But it sounds like you had a great time at the Jamboree yourself. And I mean, evidently you had a bit of a fan club along the way, right? People waiting to meet you, Bear Grylls and so many others cheering you on. Like that was, and I guess maybe that's a good last question to ask is, so obviously you were documenting your journey, and I'm assuming that you were like in touch with people as you were going, not just checking in, but then also, you probably were like posting online or when you could, obviously you didn't have connectivity everywhere. But like posting online, you mentioned social media beforehand, so I'm assuming you had a bit of a following on this adventure and you were keeping them up to date. How was that? Like, how was that?
So yes, we try to communicate, to give the taste of adventure to a lot of people, and to show the different country we crossed. Sometimes, yes, when we were under the tent without electricity, it was not possible. But right. we made a lot of footage, and right now we are working on the next step. So we are working on a movie, 52 minutes. Something we can show on some festival, on some jamboree, national jamboree, or Wolvermoot or Wolverway, or Moot. I don't know if there is a Moot in the American continent, I think. So we try to do that, and we try to write a book also. The book, it's okay for writing in French, and to find an editor, it's really easy. The next challenge will be maybe to have the book translated in English and published in English. We're working on that. We really want to do that, and by this way, the next step is also to communicate and to give advice to group or scout units who want to do the same or something like that. Because when we were in Korea, in the Jamboree, we met a lot of scouts, kids who said, "Oh, you're so inspiring. I want to do that. I will think about doing something like this for the next National Jamboree or the next World Scout Jamboree, which is in Poland in 2027. So right now we are in touch with a lot of scouts, and we give them some advice, and we really want to do that for us because we are in Europe. we especially work with the next Scoot events in Europe. So there is a Rover Way in Norway in 2024 next summer. It's a European event. The World Scoot event for Rover, the Rover Moot, is in Portugal in 2025, and the next World Scoot Jamboree is in Poland. So yeah, and we know that in Poland there is a lot of kids who said, "Yes, I will do something." Maybe not bicycle, but in an adventurous way. So I think we will have some surprise, and it's a great achievement for us. Yeah. Because for us right now to go in Poland from France, it's 10, 12 days of bicycle. It's not so difficult for
it's a lot closer.
But to know that venture scouts, scout units from all Europe and maybe from all the world, maybe by sailing, they can go to Gdansk in Poland.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, find the challenge. I think in American continent, you can do a lot of things like this. I don't know if there is next summer, National Jamboree in Canada or United States or
we have one this summer. Or, well, 2024. Sorry, 2024. Yeah, next year.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe, yes, you can do something like this. And for us, we can give some advice. Maybe if we will have our movie in French and in English, maybe if we find a way to make a tour in Canada or United States, it's going to be interesting for us, of course.
Yeah,
also. And we will be happy to show the movie of this expedition. But it's your turn. Really, I want to say to the kids, it's your turn. We can give advice. Just contact us on the social media, and we will answer everybody, everything, and just live your own adventure.
Absolutely. And I will make sure that your social media links are included in the show notes for the episode. So I guess maybe if you could just email anything to me, that any links that you want included in the show notes, please just email them to me. You got a Facebook page, Twitter profile, Instagram, doesn't matter what. Whatever links you send me, I will make sure are included in the show notes. And if I could ask a personal favor, if you have like a really your favorite photo or a really great group shot, please send that along as well, because I will use that as the cover art for this episode.
Yes, we have a selection. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, with my last 8% of battery, let me just say thank you for reaching out first and for telling this incredible story of an amazing journey, a very long journey. Congratulations on completing that, because that is just, that is utterly incredible. And I say that as, someone who used to be a very avid cyclist, and who's logged, I've done hundreds of kilometers. I've never done thousands. So, my heart goes out. That is well done and a truly amazing journey. So truly awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time on what is a late evening for you and a cold afternoon for me. Thank you out there for listening. And until next time, be prepared.